Southern Highlands Youth Demand Audit into Provincial accounts. Sumkar MP improves communication channel. And calls for City Authority to improve market facilities.
This is the National EMTV News with Meribah Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Wednesday's news. Thomas Elu, the acting provincial administrator for Southern Highlands Province, has received his first petition since taking office early this month. The youth have presented him a petition demanding an audit into the provincial government's accounts. Yesterday, the youth marched to the Mendi police station and presented the petition to Elu and the provincial police commander, Joseph Tondop. They say there is still no legitimate governor for the province.
The youths marched from Mendi town with placards calling for a state of emergency in the province. They say they will not welcome Governor William Powie into the province until a court decision is made on the declaration of Powie.
People are like, "Wo quantum you? Tamil Putimal administrator blom. Nipo, Mendi, all institutionalized in Morsla. T-boy to the deputy secretary, Tambu, Contre, be a med school mate, everybody's getting rich.
In the 5-page petition, they call for no provincial assembly meetings to be conducted until after the court ruling of the election petition. The youths also calls for the acting PA to appoint a new provincial treasurer and finance manager. They also want a thorough investigation into the provincial government's account and revive existing investigations. The youths petitioned for a change to an alleged restoration committee attached to the Prime Minister's office.
The simple people who want to do is right, who want to be seen doing right. South Islands, it's been spoiled for a long time. We've got blessings, but I think was not blessing and case come out of it because we've got a bed.
The acting PA, Mr. Elu, have returned to Port Moresby today and will return to Mendi next Wednesday to give a response to the petition. Mr. Elu demanded the youths to return the key for Agiru Center so that he can occupy his office. However, the youths were reluctant, saying they will return the keys when Mr. Elu returned.
If I continue to say anything here about these petitions, I'll be taken to court. For example, court by Holy Milong, court because these are all issues here, and court by the side long in. So let's not preempt it outside.
Mr. Elu and PPC Joseph Tondop are working tirelessly with the leaders from Southern Highlands to restore peace and normalcy in Mendi town. Yesterday, in another gathering, the Southern Highlands leaders promised to work with Elu and Tondop to restore normalcy.
So, work one time, restoring administration, restoring law and order, but we move forward.
Policing services in the province was restored yesterday after being stopped for almost 2 months. PPC Tondop said police will conduct roadblocks and raids on illegal beer and homebrew shops in the province. Vasanata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Despite operating on a budget of 3 million kina this year, the Medang Technical College graduated 485 students. Principal Janet Lee at the 45th graduation said the college has not received funding support from the national government for at least 3 years, but they were operating through student tuition fees.
Medang Technical College is one of the oldest tertiary institutions in the country and only college offering carpentry courses. Today, the college graduated 485 students. 244 of the students graduated from various building trade courses. 13 of them are female. College Principal Janet Lee says due to a tight budget this year, staff ceiling was only 76. The college takes care of salary for 44 staff while other 32 full-time teachers are paid by the national government.
Because of the increase in enrollment, we do not have the capacity through the national government to give us full-time teachers. So we have 15 part-time teachers. We also have 29 admin and ancillary staff. And because we do not have the capacity for the national government to fund us in positions, Governing Council is funding 44 employees, 44. So most of the operations of the college is covered by the Governing Council.
Meanwhile, Ms. Lee says the college will start using the online selection system for higher institution. This will help improve selection quality process. She believes the new system will bring in greater fairness, transparency and accountability. Martha Louise, National MTV News, Madang.
The recent development of an online portal by the Mineral Resource Authority has been credited as a major driving force behind the increase of interest in mining. The portal, accessible through MRA's website, provides an insight into mining tenements across the country. The portal has also been used as an avenue to promote transparency within the mining sector. The Mining Cadastre portal is a window into the various mining tenements in Papua New Guinea and also provides an insight into the different minerals that are present in various parts of the country. This portal is constantly being updated by the Mineral Resource Authority through periodical geological surveys as well as information from project developers, and is increasingly becoming the first place to go for potential investors looking to tap into the mining industry in the country. Louis Kawale is the Tenement Management System Officer and oversees the portal. According to Mr. Kawale, this portal has been gaining traction since it was first launched and is now seeing an increase in not only the number of investors looking to learn more about PNG, but also from members of the public who want to know more about the mining industry in Papua New Guinea.
It's accessible by public, and then there's primary tenement information that can be viewed as well in the portal.
At a time when investors are looking to PNG for mining, the portal provides ease of access.
For investors, they can view areas that's that has got potential for further exploration of mining. We have geological information as well on the portal, so that can be viewed. And then they can also see if there's free area. Because basically when there's free area, they apply for it. So they can apply for license for mining or exploration.
For Papua Mining, which has several mining tenements on New Britain Island, the online portal has been helpful in tracking their applications, which is more cost-effective than flying into Port Moresby to physically check on applications lodged with the MRA.
Extremely important and extremely helpful that allows investors from all over the world to be able to access the information on PNG tenements and mining. We obviously look for the historical information. We look for old reports. We look for data, and with the tenements, we look for who holds tenements, what tenement opportunities exist, what are the obligations. On our own tenements, for example, we can follow that very easily and very transparently.
The development of the portal has also complemented moves by the MRA to add value to efforts in promoting transparency within the mining industry, especially at a time when Papua New Guinea is a candidate to the International Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, and this is also being welcomed by mining investors.
It's one of the most important things is to have really good transparency on this information and the ease of access. It's very exciting. I think it's going to be a real game changer for the investment opportunities here.
Sumkar MP Chris Nangoi has prioritised communication as an important link to development in the districts. According to the MP, communication will improve performance for the provision of goods and service delivery.
Within this budget, they allocated...
One immediate plan for the Sumkar MP is to clean up the district administration to restore public trust and confidence. With a wealth of experience from the private sector, Mr. Nangoi's first move is to roll out his communication strategy on Karkar Island, with the setting up of email services and CUG phones to the management team at Kinnim Station.
The communication is flooding into all the districts and all the stuff. We have gone into a program to put in the email system and also issuing the CUG to all the staffs. What we have done is we have already registered through Unitech to have our own server and domain, and Unitech has already issued us with a certificate that we have already gone into producing all these documents, And I have already engaged our IT staff to go into, start to working into the server. We have engaged Global to become our ISP to generate our email system.
With the decentralization of administrative powers and funding support, Mr. Nangoy believes setting up a proper communication link will help to improve performance for gradual developments to take place so people can become active recipients of goods and service delivery.
We want to make it in a way that all the program managers and CEO and district treasurer and myself must be connected on a real time. So we have the real information on the district and we keep the district going forward. So this is one part of our way of restoring the district administration.
Project progress monitoring will be his biggest challenge in ensuring all program managers follow established reporting lines.
So the reason to generate all this email system is to make sure that all our program managers, including our CEO and our finance department, must be connected on an email system.
For the provision of goods and services, Nago has plans to work in close consultation with the district administration.
This is just a first step into putting the administration in place. Is that I want the workforce to be together. We want the information from the district to come together. And from there are some issues that I need to address, especially law and order. Issues like, I'm trying to promote a housing scheme for the little people in the village. These are some of the stuff that is on the pipeline.
Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Vendors at Malauro Market in Port Moresby are calling on the National Capital District Commission to provide them with a proper market facility. Vendors say the location there is more central and that other market venues such as Boroko, Waigani or Vadavada have not been inviting for them to relocate. Vendors at the market are coming together to form an association to provide security for them, customers and the general public at the market and the bus stop area.
For villages along the Hiritano Highway, early morning trips to the market cost about 90 kina to 100 kina daily. Fresh food crops are neatly packed the night before and are brought to the main markets of Port Moresby, such as Malauro. Victor Auka Jr. is a coconut distributor who travels all the way from Inawabu village in Mekeo in the Central Province. Each day, he brings about 15 to 20 bags to sell for 80 kina or 90 kina, depending on the demand.
Plus karib coconuts kamlem. Plus atok sim coconuts kalapim. Sabro punda na bor black sim pekimolo. Bek or bek tol bikla bek. Black simol kamlem plus alim. Demand bla lo buy bek inside lo la bek and bla tintin lo buy 100 kina kind price same plus.
However, he says the demand for coconut has dropped and he, like others, have to settle for what the buyers have to offer them, and most times they end up not making the anticipated amount. Reselling these coconuts and other fresh crop is also an issue for market vendors at Malauro Market.
All sales line much give maximum price of 50 kina and about 70 kina and about black am live issue. Black him buy him car. Taso money blasa need him long and no saksim.
A once organized market has now been spread to the roads, footpaths and residential car parks. These vendors are usually mothers, and even though they are satisfied in marketing at Malauro, they say they need a proper market because they can't find any space to sell their wares at any other market.
So people need him proper market, lo manu market. People need him proper market. People like him. Povos pakop must come straight na toki people that market them by stable way. Outside of one people like him, stab inside of manu.
There is neither a toilet facility nor a proper rubbish disposal area. While NCDC has engaged rubbish trucks to remove the rubbish, most days market waste is seen piling up just beside the main road at Malauro. The mothers are adamant for a proper market because the beetle nut sellers, they say, have also caused problems for them. Supervisor of Manu Basto Warden, Stephen Kevin, says beetle nut and cigarette sellers also need their own market.
Plan the street seller lo Basto bam la cut him down. By temporary, all government working with market blog and moving blog on sell big blab stuff, supermarket, free land where empty, me go by temporary inshallah. Maybe 1 month's number. By NCDC can come straight in slap, me can come back. But Manu, I'm black clean market, pushul market, no got trouble, so come up. Market must on.
In the meantime, Kevin and vendors of each market are thinking of forming an association to clamp down on petty crimes and violence and drug abuses who intimidate the customers and the general public. NCDC is yet to make a statement on the situation of city markets. Stacey Yallo, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll go for a break now and we'll be back with more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Former Planning Secretary Valentine Kambori says measures must be vetted before budgets are passed. He was speaking to EMTV News in response to the national government's plans in getting foreign financing for an economy that is still lagging.
The former departmental head says the government must tighten measures in the expenditure for the 2018 budget. Having set for 7 budgets during his 2 terms, Kambori says development must not come at the price of deficit.
In my time as secretary, even international financing or loan financing was not done in an ad hoc manner with political directive. It went through the planning cycle. We had the policy cycle, we had the planning cycle, and development partners, whether they be grant donors or concessional financiers, they followed the cycle. So we would come up with a development policy, a development strategy, a public investment framework, which is now called a capital investment.
National Planning Minister Richard Maru presented the development budget today. The highlight of the budget was the announcement of a program called the Economic Stimulus Package, intended to prevent any economic slowdown and to encourage growth.
I intend to talk about the economic growth stimulus package that this government is announcing today. Our focus in the development budget, apart from completing many of the projects that we've already started, is about growing the economy. A broad-based economy that will sustain growth in the medium term and into the future.
Continuing from the legacy of the Look North policy by the Somare government, the Asian Development Bank and China are 2 major international lenders featured on the budget. Most of their funds are for infrastructure development and for redevelopment purposes like maintaining roads and bridges.
We want to build 4 new wharves. We are going to fund feasibility studies to put 4 new international wharves in Wewak in Vanimo, in Kikori in the Gulf province, so the Southern Highlands Enga and the Hela province can come down to Kikori and pick up all their goods. They don't have to go all the way to Leh.
Following the recent APEC summit in Vietnam, the government is now adapting itself to the Chinese President Xi Jinping's Belt and Road Initiative. An example is the high-priority economic road project. But former Secretary Kambori says to keep jobs in the country, the government must repeal the decision to outsource private service providers in maintaining roads.
We are now living with the legacy of the World Bank Structural Adjustment Program. World Bank came in 1996 when the country was in a fiscal crisis under the Skate government, and then introduced a number of stringent measures. One of them was to abolish all these agencies. And one of the agencies they would abolish is the Plant Transport Authority or Plant Transport Branch, which had all the road maintenance gear right across the whole country. All our national highways and provincial highways had all the PTB. You remember the PTB?
Harry Agimbari, National EMTV News.
Morobe Province has been given budgetary allocations for an airport upgrade, the completion of the Leh-Nadzab 4-lane highway and the cancer treatment unit. The Leh-Bulolo highway is also being given budgetary support, and the province stands to benefit for agriculture transport subsidies.
The Nadzab Airport is one of several important items in the 2018 budget that has been given specific mention More than 5 million kina has been allocated to the terminal upgrade, 2 million kina coming from the government and an additional 3.8 million kina coming from loan funding. This is one of several infrastructure projects long overdue in the province. To complement the airport upgrade, funding has been allocated to the completion of the 4-lane highway between Leh and Nadzap. The decision taking into account future growth between Leh and Nadzap. Another project funded for the Morobe province, the Wau-Bulolo Highway, a 10 million kina allocation. The road that has seen better days is in desperate need for maintenance and reconstruction in some parts. This is an important road for the Morobe province, linking logging, agriculture and mining sites. One item that will be welcomed by the Leh public is the 30 million kina allocation to the Leh Cancer Treatment Unit. This will be part of overall plans to redevelop Angau Hospital. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Leh.
The provincial, district and newly introduced ward service improvement program will be fully funded in the 2018 budget. Provincial sector funding takes up 26.7% of the total budget. Treasurer Charles Abel stressed direct funding to provinces, districts and wards will see more vital projects implemented.
The provincial sector will receive 3.9 billion. This is 26.7% of the total 2018 budget, the largest share of the budget of all sectors. Major appropriations include PSIP at 220 million kina, DSIP at 890 million kina, and ward SIPs at 64.4 million kina.
Which there's some 6,300. We'll also be receiving 10,000 kina each. To continue that push to get money down to that level. So it's being funded, it's being restored to that level.
But the question of the accountability of previous years' funding for PSIP and DSIP was brought up, and whether or not DSIP through the DDAs were effective on a district level.
In terms of accountability, it comes back to enforcement, and I think one way to do it is to hold the agency heads accountable for the delivering their financial reports on time, having the audited accounts produced on time, or such things as when they continue to abuse and cost overruns on personal emoluments. They should be accountable.
Finance Secretary Dr. Ken Nangan said that the new integrated financial management system, which will be running next year, will be able to allow the Finance Department to monitor PSIP, DSIP and WSIP.
As we speak, next year we'll start to roll out the IFMS to all the provinces and districts. So within the next 2 years, we should be able to have all 89 districts and 22 provinces on IFMS. That will give us real-time visibility of the expenditure on public funds from where we see that we're getting. So having that awareness that someone else is looking over what they're spending would bring some accountability, add to the accountability when public funds are transacted at districts and provinces.
Meanwhile, Treasurer Abel was adamant that DSIP funding was getting to the people on the ground and not being wasted in Waigani. Adelaide Xerox Kari, National MTV News.
South Bougainville MP Timothy Masiu today questioned the National Works Minister on the state of 2 road projects in the autonomous region of Bougainville. These roads run from Kieta to Buin. Works Minister Michael Nally said they will seek clarification from the National Planning Department. Planning Minister Richard Maru also responded. However, the South Bougainville MP was not pleased with the responses from Minister Nally and Minister Maru and told Parliament he wanted his answers. Papua New Guineans are extremely kind, generous and friendly. Melanie Ferreira, who worked as a volunteer here in the country, has proven this perception wrong for PNG as dangerous. She spoke highly about the people and cultures, saying that reading about the country did not truly match her experiences.
Before accepting the invitation, Melanie with her other family members were a little bit troubled, but it was her mom who was supportive. Melanie comes from Mumbai, and with little knowledge about PNG, it was the bird of paradise which fascinated her. Arriving in Port Moresby, Melanie was surprised because her experiences proved all perceptions wrong. Reading about the country didn't truly match her experiences. Locals were extremely kind, generous and friendly. Melanie first worked with Don Bosco Tactical School as a tutor with the IT department, and says students' hunger for education drives them to be authentic in learning, and even teachers were very dedicated. She felt PNG was her home. She even visited Karama, and Araimiri is the place that made her Papuan experience unique. Melanie's time in the land of the unexpected taught her to be open to new experiences and a culture which is unique. It's an interesting and unforgettable experience. Melanie says, yes, every country has their own challenges, but PNG has proven most expectations wrong, and the country and its people will always shine with a positive light. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
BNBM is celebrating 25 years of operations in Papua New Guinea. The hardware outlet is a subsidiary of a parent company in China, China Nations Building Materials Company. It started its operations in 1992 and has grown fruitfully over the years, with 10 outlets around PNG employing over 500 locals. Human Resource Manager and Credit Controller Tore Miria says the success of the company is attributed to its staff and management.
BNBM in the 25th anniversary, it has a long-term plan where BNBM wants to open stores. We want to do almost 100 shops in Papua New Guinea and throughout the Pacific. And we want BNBM to be everywhere in the Pacific and everywhere in the country.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3115 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.304 US, $0.3961 Australian dollars, 0.2526 euro, and 33.51 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee closed higher, gold is trading lower, cocoa and copper closed the day lower. Palm oil, crude oil, and copper closed the day lower. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed 255 points higher, the ASX 26 points higher, and the All Ordinaries 29 points higher. EMTV News continues after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Janet Pice is a widow who has been selling soft drinks at the market to support her family since her husband's passing in 2014. She is a mother of 5 and a grandmother to 11, residing at Lae's West Taraka suburb. She earns 50 kina a day from her sales. She says life is about sacrificing and everyone must work hard to earn a living.
This is part of Janet's daily chores. She wakes up early in the morning just to make sure these containers, bought for 10 toya each, are washed and cleaned before being filled with water and juice to sell at the market. Nobody helps her. She manages this small business on her own. Janet has been doing this for 3 years since her husband died in 2014. Mrs. Pai sells them for 50 toya each and earns 30 kina to 50 kina daily from her sales. She is doing this all for the love of her children and grandchildren.
Man blominda igo na mino lusim mino kisim bla something igo. Me ting olsem ula something em lusim long ground. Emato kulungan mi bla ke kam nap now em dai na go finish. So now I'm time blomilo mi masat work look out in last bla begin blomi. I'm school yet.
Janet is 59 years old. She's originally from Karawagi in Simbu province. She married Pice Tamti from Tinputs in the autonomous region of Bougainville. They met in Simbu, got married and had 3 children. The family then moved to Lae in 1985 and settled here at West Taraka, where 2 boys were born, including their youngest son, Michael. When Michael was doing his grade 7 in 2014, Pice Tamti collapsed and died here at their family home in West Taraka.
So me say talking big man who me want them begin establish long ground so lo de me to plus so me look him and mark blong him now get the time me market me saving begin blong me lo money kai game need him long and me saving
me sel me kutur lo side bus pen side school amo anything like clothes amo the lily sending him the lily go market him say make him say me big plus.
Janet is always happy that her husband has left her with this home and her children, 4 sons and a daughter. She said her life is built around her children. She would continue to support her family with the resources she has available. Mrs. Pice encourages other women who are in such situations not to be lazy, but to be proactive and make use of resources available to sustain them and their family.
We start a big population street. In a blomy play and make him 2 plan market. So me play move on double big plan market and by hard lomy plan and double drops in me too. So I'm no got enough space so government got thinking or look out in me plan side blow market and can pan place where me play and market long end.
Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Leh.
Turning overseas now, North Korea has launched a ballistic missile which has been described as powerful, and US President Donald Trump says they will handle them.
Their word, that certainly I can tell you what South Korean officials are expecting, and our Will Ripley, who is there often and is often in communication with North Korean officials, says the exact same thing. It's key what Andrew said, and the fact that even here in South Korea, they are coming to the realization that if they get North Korea to the table.
Pope Francis, leader of the world's Catholic champion of the poor and the persecuted, has charted an unconventional course on many different issues after taking a highly anticipated trip to Myanmar. So human rights activists hope he will highlight the plight of the Rohingya Muslim minority group during his visit. CNN reports Pope Francis had to share a careful balance in a speech alongside Aung San Suu Kyi.
In his first and likely most important speech of this trip in front of Aung San Suu Kyi and the government leaders of Myanmar, Pope Francis concentrated heavily on the theme of respect for the rights of ethnic minorities, excluding none, the Pope said. He spoke about human rights and the need for democratic order in Myanmar. The Pope did not specifically mention the Rohingya refugees, something which going into this speech, some considered a sort of benchmark for the Pope's moral authority on the issue, whether or not he would use the term Rohingya, which is not accepted by the Myanmar government, in his speech to them. He did not do that. He did speak about the rights of ethnic minorities here, particularly, quote, those who call this land their home. That is a reference to the Rohingyas, who have been here for centuries and yet are not recognized by the government of Myanmar or granted citizenship. And indeed, the military of Myanmar has been accused by the UN and the US of ethnic cleansing of the Rohingyas. So on balance, a speech which likely will not satisfy those who wanted to hear stronger language from Francis, but at the same time perhaps furthers his objective in coming here, which is to have the ear of the leadership here open to dialogue and open to the possibility of building a full democracy and full human rights for the people of Myanmar.
Here with National MTV News, Trukai Sports is next. We'll have some updates from the PNG Games. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with the updates from the PNG Games, and West New Britain men's and women's rugby touch teams have set a date with NCD in the gold medal playoff after defeating Oro and Morbe in the second semi-finals today. Hot favourites NCD were the first to qualify for the finals in the opening match after ousting East New Britain in both the men's and women's divisions. The medal playoff will be aired on the 7th PNG Games highlight programme this evening. Moving on, Henry I has been cleared from all allegations and charges laid against him by the courts. This was confirmed by the PNG Rugby Football League CEO, Riatau Rao, who now considers the matter closed.
At this stage, all we can say is that Henry I, after 7 months in Australia in detention, and originally for the assault, sexual assault issue, and eventually his visa ran out. Henry has now, after 7 months, his trial was finally held on November 6, 7, and 8 of the week, and a week ago, Henry's the court and has acquitted him and found him not guilty of the allegation or the complaint that was lodged against him on the issue of the sexual assault. So from the board chairman and the management, and including the team players and the coaches, that's a very great outcome for rugby league, and PNG Rugby League stood behind Henry from the start till the end of the case. So with the support from NRL, we're able to make that announcement now that Henry has been cleared.
Trukai Sports continues after these messages. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To football, Kagua Erave MP Wesley Raminai has launched the football nursery program for his district. The local MP has introduced the concept as a pilot project. It was launched last night at the Sejongai Stadium.
Wesley Raminai is an avid football follower. This has opted him to use football as a pilot project before introducing other sports. He says this will be a project that will be driven using his DSIP funds and not from the sports ministry. Depending on the success of the project, Raminai says the program can be introduced to other parts of the country.
Because it is important that we start playing sport at a much earlier age than at present in Papua New Guinea. To do this effectively, we need to start teaching skill at a much earlier age at the elementary and primary schools level.
The project is also an inclusive program which can help develop children's characteristics, helping their positive response to school and other activities. PETA Limited will be leading the training in the district, teaching children the basic skills of football.
Yes!
PETA Limited Operations Manager Taku Niebo says they are happy to be part of the pilot project in the Kagua Erave district.
Been working for a while, working with players, basically in Port Moresby schools, primary schools and secondary schools, and it was timely, and we are very much proud to be part of this initiative that the minister has taken to bring development of football into Kagua Erave.
PETA Limited will start the trainers program on the 12th of February, where 2 teachers from different schools in the district will undergo training.
Basically, we'll have tournaments like on holidays. That's what it's going to do for both districts, for both Erave and Kagua districts. On the holidays, they're going to have their tournaments.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
To football abroad, excitement is building in the host country, Russia, where the official poster has just been unveiled for the upcoming World Cup. It features the iconic and legendary goalie, Lev Yashin, who was a really big deal in the 1950s and 60s, and it seems to harken back to the space race of the Soviet era. And that's it for Trukai Sports. Up next, the weather details for Thursday. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Fine weather expected in Port Moresby. A few showers in Daru, Kerma, Alotau and Popondetta. To the Mamasa region, rain expected in Wau as well as in Leh. A few showers as well in Madang. Showers tonight for Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Lorengau and Kavieng. Showers expected in Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe. Rain periods in Buka. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centres can expect evening showers with early morning fog developing.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And before we go, a recap of our top stories. Southern Highlands Youth Demand Audit into provincial accounts. Sumkar MP improves communication channel and calls for city authority to improve market facilities. And that's our news, sport and weather for today, Wednesday, the 29th of November 2017. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.